This is a reading of an untitled letter by Jordan Thomas Gregory, The Man in the Arena. This reading is in the public domain. Reading by Hunter Henshaw, with special guests Barack Obama, Donald Trump, a posh British man, and Mr. Gregory himself. Forward. Before I begin, I would like to recount my experience with Mr. Gregory. It was a fine sunny day like any other. Mr. Gregory was a new face to me, but not unwelcomed. We spoke briefly about his endeavors and exchanged cheerful banter about current events. He mentioned to me that a saw had tried to kill him, which I figured was a joke. He explained it was not, while I withheld my observations that his use of the murderous table saw was horrendously incorrect. We smiled, parted ways, and I remember thinking to myself, what a strange fellow. Not 2 weeks later, I see that letters are nailed all over campus. Nailed into drywall, nailed into wooden doors, nailed in the most inappropriate places one could imagine. This letter contains the innermost thoughts and perceptions of Mr. Gregory, and after reading this, my perception of the man remains. What a strange fellow. I should like to tase him. Section 1. Recently, I desired to saw a board in half. I carried 3 links of lumber over my shoulder into the library, ran up the stairs into the makerspace, and attempted to saw a board on the Rockwell 3-in-1. First of all, I would never in a million years buy a Rockwell 3-in-1 saw. It is a piece of plastic shit designed to be used once to cut a board unevenly. After you're done cutting the board, you set the saw on fire. Anyway, the saw proceeded to eject its blade into my face. After this occurrence, you can imagine my fury. I scoured the makerspace for a saw made of steel instead of plastic. I was unable to find a way to cut a board in half. Quite possibly, one of the simplest tasks was unable to be achieved with the millions of dollars spent to organize the makerspace. Also, there isn't a single roll of solder in the makerspace, but there's plenty of equipment for electronics and soldering. Upon leaving the makerspace, I ran into Michael Akins, told him my dilemma, and proceeded to ask him for a budget so that I might be able to use an actual piece of equipment made out of steel. A proper table saw with a blade bolted to the rotor would never and will never eject its blade into a student's face. This is what happens when you allow a business major, who's in over his head, to design a workshop. There aren't even lab coats and hard hats up there. What the hell? I had to take 6 safety tests and sign 3 pieces of paperwork, and you won't even provide me PPEs? Section 2. I started asking around for someone with a proper piece of machinery. I was told that Perry Melton was the man with the saw, so I gathered my things, ran to his shop, and proceeded to build my coat rack. Perry informed me that there's a 5-axis mill in his shop that hasn't worked for ages. The machine belongs to Mike Renfro, and he has failed to maintain his equipment. It seems like the professors here like to buy equipment so they can flaunt how much money they spent and blow smoke up each other's asses all day. We don't need showpieces. We need preventative maintenance. Anyway, I opened the control panel on the front of the unit, stuck my nose inside, and I smelled a blown battery. I removed the circuit board and proceeded to desolder the battery from the board. After removing the battery, I found that Perry's shop wasn't designed for repairing circuit boards. By the way, Perry Melton was the first real engineer I've met on campus. He's more valuable to the engineering department than any other individual. He isn't even an engineer. He is only a licensed machinist.
Section 2. I proceeded to Brown Hall, where I met Connor Murray. He's the second real engineer I've met here. I'd like to become his work study, assistant, etc. He assisted me in the repair of the board, and tomorrow I will install the board on the mill and attempt to make valve covers for my vehicle. Continuing with Connor, he's just as frustrated as I am with the current state of affairs. He's the best engineer in Brown Hall, and he has more experience with computer hardware than I could ever imagine to achieve. Connor has plenty of issues that need to be resolved as well. He asked me if I would provide him with a program to scramble the network on campus so that someone with half a brain might come by and repair the network properly. Connor had the first internet address on campus, and now he's limited to a single port on the network. He's restricted in his ability and has become depressed with the current state of affairs. His lab has been left to decay because he's unable to flourish in his environment. Once again, what the hell, Batman?
Section 4. Proceeding with my tale, I met with David Elizondo. Remember the guy whose program was cut? Take a guess. He's pissed off too. Jessica Matson and David Elizondo were over the Industrial Engineering Department, quite possibly two of the best professors I've spoken with on campus. Why was their program cut? Hell if I know. We spoke about his research. I gave him the other half of pizza pie I made from scratch for lunch, and he gave me a book I'm currently reading about operations, research, optimization, and heuristics. Anyway, he has been hindered in his environment as well. So many great minds are crawling under rocks because they're too afraid to write you this letter.
Section 5. David and I spoke of the trouble I'm having in the computer science department. First of all, if I can't respect a professor, I will not show up to the second lecture. I will go home, read my textbook, do it on my own, and call it a day. Second of all, computer science is rooted in organization and problem solving. The department lacks both of these things. Mark Beauchart's lectures like trying to concentrate total chaos. Cubic needs to be teaching computer science to kindergartners. That guy in charge of the makerspace is arrogant and doesn't belong in the classroom. And on top of all this, the department lacks leadership in every category. There is zero consistency and continuity between classes. David Alessandro was given the title to the class he was instructed to teach, armed with only the title of the class. He was told to teach children. So being the problem solver he is, he developed a plan for lectures. No other professor in the department is capable of constructing such a plan. As previously stated, the department in charge of organization and problem solving doesn't know what the hell they're doing. It's a mess. There's no effort without error and shortcoming. Ask and you shall receive. Anger is like peeing your pants. Everyone can see it, but only you can feel it.